All right, so there's quite a bit to consider when it comes to comparing the brand new PlayStation Pulse Explorer to the Sony Inzone Buds. As of this video, they come in at the exact same price of 200 bucks. So which one should you get? Well, hopefully by the end of this video, we'll help you answer that question. So let's start off talking about the design of both options. Like I said in the other video, I love the way that the Pulse Explorer look. I mean, they're on brand with everything PlayStation, as they should be. You have the actual PlayStation logo on the case, on the earbuds themselves, and appearance wise, like I said, I love the way that they look. Now, with that appearance and with that design does come a bit of a learning curve. All right, just trying to figure out how to put them back in the case, how they actually fit in your ear. I mean, it takes a good day of using them to really get used to it and to really figure it out. Now, with the Inzone Buds, they're much more straightforward in terms of their design. So it's a lot easier to just take these out of the box, slap them in your ears, and you're going to be ready to go, ready to start gaming right from the jump. Now, when it comes to the charging cases, I do prefer the smaller footprint of the Inzone Buds. And the other thing I like is the fact that you can actually store the transmitter inside the case. If you saw the other video that I posted about the Pulse Explorer, that was one of my comments. I would have liked to see PlayStation allow you to store the transmitter directly in the case. It just makes it a lot easier to keep up with everything, especially when you're on the go. Now, as far as battery life, with the Pulse Explorer having the larger case, you would expect them to put up the better numbers, but the Inzone Buds actually have the better specs. So you're going to get roughly 12 hours on a single charge from the Inzone Buds, with an additional 12 hours coming from the case. With the Pulse Explorer, you're going to get roughly 5 hours on a single charge, with an additional 10 hours coming from the case. So not only are you getting a smaller footprint, you're getting the option to store the transmitter directly inside the case, you're also getting better overall battery life with the Inzone Buds. Now let's go ahead and move over to connection. So one thing that is super important to keep in mind when it comes to the Inzone Buds is that as far as Bluetooth, they're only compatible with devices that support LE audio. So that's going to be like the S23 lineup. The Pixel 8, I believe, supports LE audio. But for example, I have an iPhone 15. I can't pair the Inzone Buds to the iPhone 15 using Bluetooth. My only option is to use the transmitter and plug it directly into the Type-C port of the iPhone 15. So you definitely want to check to make sure your phone or your Bluetooth device is LE audio compatible if you're planning on using Bluetooth as a connection option. Now, when it comes to connection strength, I do feel like the Inzone Buds have the stronger connection. With these, I can pretty much go anywhere around my house and maintain connection with my console. With the Pulse Explorer, there's definitely certain areas of the house that I can't go without the earbuds disconnecting from the console. So if you're somebody that likes to move around a lot in between games, go to different areas of your home, check on this, check on that, and then come back to the game, that's definitely something to consider. Another thing to consider is dual connection. So if you want the option to be connected to your console and your Bluetooth device at the same time, well, then you have to go with the Pulse Explorer. You do not have that option with the Inzone Buds. So if you want to be gaming and listening to music at the same time, or if you want to game and have the option to take a phone call at the same time, the Pulse Explorer have you covered. With the Inzone Buds, it's one or the other. So if you're listening to your gameplay through your console, you cannot be connected via Bluetooth. All right, now you do have the option to switch the connection modes. So if you're using the Inzone Buds, if you tap and hold on both earbuds for about 5 seconds or so, it'll switch from transmitter mode over to Bluetooth mode or vice versa. Now, while we're on the topic of connection, something else to consider is PlayStation Portal compatibility. So if you have or you're thinking about getting a PlayStation Portal and you want a set of gaming earbuds that can connect directly to the Portal, your only option is really the Pulse Explorer. The Pulse Explorer have the PlayStation Link technology, which is also built into the Portal, so they're able to communicate and sync up with each other, whereas with the Inzone Buds, you don't have that option. The only option you have is to keep the Inzone Buds connected to your console and to run the audio directly from the console. But if you're not in the same location as your console, then obviously you can't do that. So let's go ahead and move over to controls. So the biggest difference between the two, with the Pulse Explorer, you have physical buttons, and with the Inzone Buds, you have touch sensitive controls. I've heard some people say that they're not a fan of the physical buttons on the Pulse Explorer because they feel like using them interferes with the fit, especially since they're already kind of awkward when it comes to fit. But that's not really the case for me. Whenever I need to adjust the volume, for example, what I do is just kind of support the bottom of the earbud with my thumb. And then with my index finger, I can, press up or down if I want to adjust the volume. And that seems to work just fine. I don't feel like using the controls causes them to slip out of my ear. Now, I will say that the touch controls on the Inzone Buds are definitely faster. So if you just want to adjust the volume really quick, it's a lot easier to just tap the outside of the earbud and immediately go back to the controller, versus with the Pulse Explorer, you have to kind of feel around for the button and then you go back to the controller. So if you want something that's going to be a little bit more intuitive, you might want to go with the Inzone Buds. Something else I want to point out when it comes to the controls, and specifically using them with Bluetooth devices, is that with the Pulse Explorer, so far in my testing, the controls don't do anything. So if I'm connected to my phone, for example, and I'm listening to music, if I use the buttons to adjust the volume, nothing happens. I have to use my phone to make any changes that I want. Whereas with the Inzone Buds, if I'm connected to my phone, I can use the touch controls to adjust the volume and it works just fine. Another thing you want to consider is going to be noise cancellation. So this one's pretty straightforward. The Inzone Buds have noise cancellation as well as transparency mode, and the Pulse Explorer don't. So if you're in a noisy environment, you can take advantage of that noise cancellation to help block out the distractions that much more and to help you focus on the game. And then on the flip side, if you want to maintain, awareness of your surroundings and hear what's going on around you inside your home, you can use that transparency mode. So you got a little bit more flexibility as far as blocking out your distractions on the Inzone Buds. Now, as far as microphone performance, I think they both perform just fine, but as usual, I did do a basic microphone test just so you guys can hear them for yourselves. All right, so right here is a microphone sample using the PlayStation Explorer gaming earbuds. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. And now this is a microphone sample using the Sony Inzone gaming earbuds. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Now, real quick, let's talk about the overall audio quality that you're going to get from both devices. Obviously, these are gaming earbuds first. That's what they're made for. But if you're that person that's looking for a pair that can kind of do both, work great for gaming and for listening to music, then I would definitely recommend the Inzone Buds. For one, the bass is definitely punchier and the overall treble is a lot cleaner as well. And it's just a much more enjoyable experience when it comes to listening to music. With the Pulse Explorer, they sound a tad bit flat when it comes to listening to music. So again, if you're that person that's looking for a more versatile sound, I would go with the Inzone Buds. Furthermore, if you're someone that is a PC user, you can download the Inzone app and you have a lot more control. You can customize the EQ, you can play with the 3D stereo sound or surround sound, whatever it is, and you just have a lot more flexibility. Last but not least, let's talk IP rating. So I've seen some reports that the Inzone Buds have an IPX4 water resistant rating. So if you're concerned about sweat, light splashes of water, anything like that, I would feel comfortable leaning towards the Inzone Buds. And that would make sense because majority of Sony's noise canceling earbuds have an IPX4 rating. With the Pulse Explorer, I haven't really seen anything as far as water resistance. So again, if that's a concern of yours, I would go with the Inzone Buds. So as you can see, there is a lot to consider, and it really comes down to how you intend to use your gaming earbuds. For me, I think it would be a no-brainer if the Inzone Buds had the option of dual connection, but since they don't, it makes it a lot more interesting. So at the very least, hopefully this video helped outline the main differences between the two so that you guys can make a decision for yourselves. Aside from that, I appreciate you guys for watching as always. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button if you found the video to be helpful, and we'll see you guys in the next one.